I think A. Yeah, help.
No one B, no one.
Feeling sight. One enemy remaining.
Nice! Good job, team.
This is how a pistol looks when you are using the power of communication. We're going to come back to this clip later, but for now I want to tell you some things. The best way to lose a game is to not communicate. If you are not calling out important information, that means that you are not giving your best, which makes me ask you a question. Why do you play competitive? Just because your teammates don't call out, that doesn't mean that you also get a no compass. It is always in your best interest to communicate any action that happens on the map. That includes what the enemy is doing, aka what abilities they use, if they're stepping, if they're rotating. The list goes on. But you also have to communicate what you are doing. This is even more important than communicating what the enemy is doing, considering that you can be 100% certain of the actions that you are taking, while the enemy can always change direction. And guess what? Surprisingly, if your teammates know what you're going to do, they can help you out. They are prepared for what you are doing and they may respond to that. You do not need to have pro level comms in order to increase your chances of winning, but you do need to have at least decent communications. And even if you do communicate, I'm pretty sure that there's still plenty of room for improvement, and that's what we're going to do today. I will show you a few clips with different situations and different types of communication for the said situation. But firstly, I want to talk about one game feature that people seem to be confused about. Tactical callouts. Yeah, they are cool for beginners, but Riot said with their own words that tactical callouts are not meant to replace voice chat. And that's because voice chat will always be more efficient, because they're always going to be a lot more precise. Tactical callouts only give the general position of the enemies and spike location, while you can communicate with your mouth literally anything that happens. So please, act like tactical voiceover doesn't even exist and just use voice chat to communicate. Okay, since that is out of the way, let's go watch some clips. The first clip is the piss round from the start of the video. Our Jet tells our Brim to sit at Moss and that she'll bait for him. Even if this communication is just between two players, I could use that information to help them out with their strategy. I was playing Vents because people generally go A on split in pistol round, so I tried to predict their push and set me up for a better position to help those two out. I knew how my teammates were going to play, so my job was to distract any player attention from clearing Moss and let Brim do his job. So throwing out my flash achieved just that, because instead of focusing at Moss, they wanted to break the flash instead. And me picking out also added a lot more pressure, and that's what allowed Brim to pretty much kill their entire team. The round was won in a very dominant fashion, which would never have been possible without communication. If I didn't know what was my teammate's intent, my response would likely be delayed. And it's very possible that we would have lost the round because of that. In this clip the enemy is doing an eco, so the round wouldn't be too hard to win, but notice the way that we are positioned on the map.
One in Vents, bro.
If any of us were to die, the enemy could easily win the round off of that. So we need to be careful with our movements and buy time so we can regroup to be ready for whatever the enemy wants to do. Notice how Cypher especially coordinated the whole round for us.
I will play defensive.
I say when you flash, okay?
Yeah, sure.
They can go slow.
Flash now. Now. Two pass.
They cross.
Three mail. Three of the mail. One pushing stairs. One stairs.
Enemy remaining.
Spike.
Last mail. Good job.
Nice.
Your life won't go to
The next clip is a pistol round where we actually did the double fake, which is incredibly rare in ranked. I let the clip play out. I haven't done anything special, it's just pure communication.
If Killjoy plays here, let's rotate. Someone is on side.
Let me draw.
Okay, Killjoy is here.
I think Killjoy is here. Yeah, Killjoy is here. Turret is close left.
Yeah, let's
Probably.
Yeah, let's rotate.
raise, don't go in.
Are we gonna rotate?
Let's rotate,
Yes,
rotate.
rotate.
Rotate fast to be a...
Go back to A again.
I think we need to rotate back.
Yeah, let's go back.
Let's go back to A.
I will wait for you, Sky.
Just shoulder pick, I'll flash.
Two
I'm
heaven,
going back
last
elbow.
heaven.
Can you peek from side? I don't wanna flash you.
One enemy remaining.
Dead.
For you.
Also, it's not the cleanest comp, but it got us the round on the plate because the enemy didn't know how to respond as they probably lack communication. In this clip I'll show you how even minimal communication is super beneficial. I tell my bridge that I'll be sitting in that corner and he already knows that his job is just to bait for me.
They are coming B.
Enemy spotted. B. Enemy blinding. No match.
He did pretty well on his own either way, but he was still calling out things such as telling me when he's flashing so I can play off of that.
Flashing one.
Both there.
1, 2.
Small things like this make a huge difference.
Both.
One enemy remaining.
Inside,
Spike
guys.
down.
In this clip we're retaking A side 5v4. You already know how hard retakes are in this game, so if we were to just rush in like chickens, it's very likely that we would just lose the round.
Okay, play retake, bro. Play retake.
One is dead.
Nice, man.
I have my ult, I have my ult.
I might think another smoke. Careful, it's gonna go out. Maybe careful on your edge. That smoke will go out.
Open up the sky.
Okay, I will flash out. Flash out of heaven.
Launching
Flashing
My
again.
intent was to buy time for my Sage and Cypher to join us so we can retake the side together.
Elbow one. I have to reload.
Nice.
One is elbow.
One enemy remaining.
Elbow last. Running. Took my gun. Covered it.
CT.
Nice.
Well done, guys.
I've shown you plenty of examples where communication was the key for us to win. I will now give you a list ranked in order of importance of what you should communicate and then some other things besides that. Communicate what you are doing. I've said this already, but I'll do it again. You can always communicate with 100% certainty the actions that you are going to take, and this is massive. Call out if you want to push or pick something. Call out if you're going to flash a certain spot. Call out where you're going to place your smokes. You can go as far as to becoming an IGL and coordinate strategies for every round. The power is yours. And lastly, you need to call out what abilities you have ready. Be it basic abilities or your ultimate, this becomes more and more important the higher you climb. Communicate enemy locations. If you hear the enemy is making any kind of noise, communicate. Get your team aware of the possibility that the enemy might push your site or anything along those lines. After you die, your number one priority is to let your team know where you died from. This is much more important than saying how much damage you did. Call out what utility the enemy has left. This one is a double exercise. You will start keeping track of what utility the enemy has left, if you haven't been doing it so far, but more importantly, let's say that the enemy team has a composition that doesn't allow them to clear corners very well, but they have a race, so they do have one agent that can do that. If she uses the utility at the start of the round, both her boombot and her nade, and your teammates know that because you told them, then they know that they can play more risky angles that are hard to clear unless they get cleared out by some ability. And you just got a free round because someone was playing one of these angles. There are hundreds of possibilities, this was just one example. Voice chat. During the round should only be used as a communication channel. You can obviously have some fun chatting with your teammates, but during the round itself you want to keep it as clean as possible and have only important callouts go through it. Do your best to give clear and concise callouts. Communicate the most important things. You can leave out some small detail that doesn't matter that much, such as doing 40 damage on someone that was full HP originally. Voice chat is not a place to complain. Did something annoying happen? It do be like that sometimes. But your teammates don't care and it doesn't help them in any way, so only communicate important details. Now that we've covered everything important, go ahead and use your voice. Thank you for watching.